expressed in the following program contributors and do not necessarily reflect views of CAB Broadcasting LLC and its management or its sponsors.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Born to Shine, being brought to you by Genius Kids. And I'm, of course, Miss Renu from Genius Kids. Thrilled to be here Wednesday evening. This is our new show for 2021 because we know that there are many youths, children, all kinds of people out there that are born to shine, that are born to be different. And this show is about focusing and spotlighting those youth and young kids. The show is for ages 5 to 25. So if you know someone, it could be your child or someone else that you know that you really feel is making a difference in the community. And I'm not talking about the academics, I'm talking about anything beyond the academics, like music, art, poetry, singing, dance, opening a nonprofit, whatever it is. You need to reach out to me at renud@gmail.com. And definitely we want to spotlight them on the show. And we've had some amazing responses. And I'm so excited. I have everything under the sun to spotlight every week here for you. And of course, I'm going to begin by first spotlighting my favorite RJ sitting right over there with her gorgeous red hair. Hello, Miss Ira. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Miss Renu. And thank you for having me here. Hi, Pearl. Nice to meet you. Super excited about this show.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
And then we are going to highlight a very talented young lady. I mean, I was blown away with this young lady when I met her when this is probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and she came on a little pilot TV show that we were doing, and I was taken away by her completely. And I'd actually met her before at a festival where her mom had shown me some of her work. So we have with us today Pearl Raina, and she's been drawing since she was 4 years old. I'm going to ask her whether she was already potty trained by then or not. But anyway, she's been drawing since she was 4 years old. And that's her passion. Her artwork consists of almost 125 pieces of art in various media such as pencil, acrylic, oil pastel, watercolor, charcoal. I can't even say some of these words over here. She's going to explain them to you. She's actually started her own Pearl Art Studio, which she'll be sharing with us today. So if you want to have your child learn how to draw, then you have come to the right show, and you're going to meet the teacher right here. And of course, she's won so many different awards. She's been a recipient of the Leadership Award for Warriors of Empowerment. She's been featured in Siliconeer. She's been featured as budding artist in San Jose Mercury News. She met Malala Yousafzai, I hope I said that right, the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner, and gifted her with a painting. I mean, come on, guys. And today I'm going to ask her to draw a painting, but I'll say that right at the end. I'll save the best for last. So on that note, welcome, Pearl. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So my first question to you is, when you started drawing and painting at 4 years old, were you already potty trained?
I don't even remember, honestly. But
I'm just curious to know, because I see young kids in my school picking up things and drawing, and sometimes you can tell when somebody is gifted already. So at 4, who noticed that were you learning to draw, or did you just pick up that pencil and start drawing? Tell us.
So, in preschool, I was very introverted growing up, and I would, be in my own world. I would be doing whatever I wanted to do. So I'd sit on my desk and just draw whatever I really wanted to. And my preschool teacher at the time, Stacy, she's a huge supporter of me. She noticed this, and she told my mom. She was like, hey, she has a huge inclination towards art. So my mom, being the supportive person that she is, enrolled me in my first art class. And then it started off like that. I started off with this oil painting. It's still one of my favorite oil paintings. And it's a flower and a sunset. And that's how the journey began.
Wonderful. So, of course, you talked about a supportive parent. We'll definitely get to that. So you started really in preschool at the age of 4, right? When you discovered and your mom realized, and then you had a preschool teacher that spotlighted you on that. So that's wonderful. So kudos to you, Miss Stacy. Great job. I love teachers like that. Yeah. Seriously, I love teachers like that. And you must send her this clip, because it's wonderful when in preschool you're able to identify the gift of a child. So then you started taking these classes, and then what happened? I mean, you were doing art, but did you really figure out that you were as talented as you are? I mean, what happened then?
So, I started first, of course, working on technical skills. So blending, shading, proportion, stuff like that. And then I started really getting into portraiture. That's where my artistic talents started developing. And that's when I realized art was something I truly wanted to do. I was fascinated with the story behind artwork. And the way that I first did that was through portraiture. And I did various talented individuals, you know, of course, like Abraham Lincoln, Charlie Chaplin, Kennedy, you name it, you know.
So were
And
you looking at pictures and then doing their portraits? Is that what you were
yes,
doing?
definitely.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And we talk about a supportive parent. So that's very important for me. You know, you mentioned your mom in here, and I know your mom is super supportive about you. How important do you think that is? Because, you know, and we all know that, you know, I mean, we know that artists are very successful people, but we also know that, you know, it's a very competitive field, you know, like acting, drama, and your parents will sometimes say, sure, make it a hobby. Don't make it a career, but I want you to go do something else. Is that what your mom tells you, or your dad, or what are their thoughts on that?
You know, I think my mom has always supported me because I wanted to do this since a young age. So she saw my potential. The issue with, you know, parents nowadays is your supporters is a huge part of your success. But as an artist growing up in a community that if you don't have that, really all you can do is persevere as an artist and really prove yourself. Because once you prove yourself in whatever field you go into, supporters will come. And I think parents will recognize that. But proving yourself, I think, is the first step towards that. Thankfully, you know, my mom has always supported me, and including my dad as well. I'm surrounded by a lot of love who support whatever I want to pursue.
Wonderful. You know, you talk about perseverance, and I heard that this morning. Today is a very special day to have you on the show because today, January the 20th, we inaugurated not only President Biden, who has persevered to become president for 36 years. So that just shows. And then, of course, we have our very first woman of color as a vice president, who we know is South Asian, Black. So she's paved the path for everybody else. And that also shows perseverance. So,
And that is why, Ms. Renu, today being today, it is very easy to guess the kind of painting that you want Pearl to make for you.
I say that at the end. I always promise Seb I'm not going to get political on my shows.
Sure.
You know, and where do you see yourself 10 years from now, Pearl?
You know, I think a big thing about myself is just kind of creating a brand. I do see myself definitely being an artist and traveling and giving exhibitions. But one aspect of my life that I will soon talk about is teaching art classes and really like giving my knowledge to younger people or, you know, older people. And I definitely know teaching will be a part of my life in the future as well.
So before we get to teaching, I think now it's time to open up Pearl's artwork right here, where what she's actually going to do. For those who've just tuned in, we're meeting and chatting with Pearl Reiner and Born to Shine. She's actually going to share her amazing pieces of art, and she's going to tell us a story behind that. And I know you've also, did you not give Shushmita Sen also something?
Definitely, yeah. So
Yes,
when I received the award, I ended up giving a portrait of Shushmita Sen to her. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So go ahead. The ball's in your court, Pearl. Let's begin with your amazing artwork. Tell us a story.
So, you know, this actually has to do with, you know, how you stated like this is a competitive field. Art is a very competitive field. Even as an artist, I do sometimes doubt myself in my abilities. And so I'm constantly surrounded by these worries and anxieties. Well, this was at that time of my life where I didn't know what I was going to do. I was constricted by these strangling tentacles because I held myself back. I didn't like succeed in what I wanted to do because I was just worried about my future. But you know, as I started growing as an artist and as a person, I soon started becoming a separate piece from this octopus. And so now, you know, I'm at a place where we're separated, but this aspect of my life will continue to be there for me. But now it more motivates me to become better. You know, it shows that, you know, you have the potential. And even though perfectionism like gets in the way of your brain and all of that, at the end of the day, you just have to, you know, like you said, persevere.
So it begins with the octopus. You're entangled in the octopus, and now you're slowly releasing yourself from there and developing your confidence. Wow. Okay. Beautiful.
And another piece that I can talk about is this one. So this one I illustrated Kashmiri man, Kashmiri Pandit man with a white thread, a yoni we call it, and then a red pika. So, and then around him are like surrounding beings. And this represents the dichotomy between my beliefs of Hinduism and my beliefs of spirituality, you know. So I'm at sometimes a conflict of what I believe in, but I think the point of being spiritual is just finding hope in things in the future. I think losing hope is probably the worst thing you could ever do in whatever you pursue. And so this kind of just explains my past history with my beliefs and my beliefs now.
And I assume you're from Kashmir.
Yes.
Of course.
Definitely.
Yes. That's amazing. So who is this person? Is it just somebody you imagined, or is it actually a person?
Yeah, no, it's just someone that I imagined. He's
Wow.
yeah. I kind of mimicked Kashmiri traits like the bigger nose and the mouth and all of that. But and so the last piece that I want to show is this basically represents myself during quarantine, during this isolation pandemic period. And so I represented myself, you know, drinking chai in my parents' room with this blank piece of paper and in my cluttered area space. And around me is these puffer fish, and I'm underwater. And so what I wanted to depict was, I think everyone kind of felt this during the pandemic time, was a lack of motivation. Everyone was confused. You didn't have social interactions that much. And it was a very confusing period. So I depicted coronavirus molecules as the puffer fish behind
I was
me.
going to say that looks like the little virus over there.
Exactly. And I'm submerged underwater because there I feel super isolated. And it was a really hard period creatively for me. And that's why I have this blank piece of paper just on my bed without any idea of what I'm going to do, because I really had to figure that out, you know, at the beginning of this time. And I think the last piece that I'm going to showcase.
I see some at the bottom. There's another one of you sitting.
Sitting. Oh, no, that was the octopus one.
Oh, that was the octopus one. Okay. All right. Okay. What's this one?
But this one, I represented addiction in families, inheritance of addiction.
Wow.
So I showcased a baby, like an embryo, with a very human grown
Like an adult hand, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And attached to him is the umbilical cord, of course, and it attaches to the background of this black toxin. So there's a statistic that if you're surrounded by people of addiction, you're more likely to, of course, like abuse these substances. And so I showcased these toxins slowly getting into the umbilical cord, because this baby is like inheriting these traits from the mother. And so I wanted to represent how, you know, addiction is this horrible thing that we definitely have to fight, like, as a community. And this is the piece for that. And I think that's the last piece that I wanted to showcase.
So on this piece, I see you've got the blue in the head, around the neck, and you've got it in the lower back. Is that intentional? I mean, was that shading? What exactly was that?
Totally. So this piece was done in gouache, which is sort of like between an acrylic and watercolor. And so what I wanted to showcase was the toxins affecting the body in the most prominently, which is its brain, its development as a baby. So that's why I put like the bluish dark tones in the head specifically. Good for you for catching that.
Well, so, you know, I do art, but I'm not an artist like you. I do cartoon art. So I love cartoon art and stuff, nothing like this. And I do a lot of acrylic painting, and it's the same thing. You know, I find it very relaxing. So I could spend hours and hours doing, you know, paint. But this is just, I mean, I'm just blown away. I've never seen anything like it. And truly, what do you think, Miss Hira? I can see you just sitting there, just looking.
Well, I am looking. It is absolutely impressive. It's amazing how you come up with these messages and how you come up with these concepts, which also brings me to my question I wanted to ask you. Do you always try and have a message to your paintings, or do you sometimes just do random things without any message, anything that you want to do without really trying to say something?
So like I was saying, you know, how I used to do portraiture at a young age, I realized that the reason why I would do such famous figures is because I was obsessed with the narrative behind what they did. And as I started growing as an artist, it really was important for me to have a story behind each and every one of my pieces. Now that, you know, of course, if I'm doing commission work or something like that, you know, of course, that doesn't have meaning behind it, but it's definitely more important for me to showcase my artwork and have a goal behind it for a bigger picture than just pretty artwork.
Okay. And do you also do you also have artists blogs, or is it frustrating for you as well? Are you like us mortals. I mean, come on, seriously. I mean, if you try to, if a writer and if you're not able to write, if you do crafts and, sometimes you hit a roadblock, do
Totally.
you also face things like that? How do you deal with it? What do you do about it then?
I think, like I was saying with my pufferfish painting, that was a huge artist block point for me in my life because I
Yeah.
was like, what am I doing? I couldn't create artwork for such a long time. And
Mhm.
really all it is during those times, I just think of concepts and I write down those concepts on my phone, on my notes app. And as I'm thinking about concepts, the more I write them down, the more excited I get for me to do it. Beforehand, of course, it was hard to create artwork, but now it's more about thinking of the ideas for me. So I really just create as many ideas as I can so I can think about it in the future and get excited for it.
Oh,
So let me ask you, if somebody had an interest in art, but they're looking at your work and they're like, I could never do this. Is
Yeah.
it something you think you could learn?
Definitely. So I have been teaching art classes since before ninth grade. I started with summer workshops in my home basement studio, and then it started into classes every Saturday. And I was really I'm a huge perfectionist, so I would teach skills like proportions, like what I was taught when I was younger. And then as I started growing, I started caring about personal work, and so then I allowed them to work on their favorite landscape, favorite characters. My student worked on his Pokemon character, And so I think art has become something so much more than just drawing for me and for people because of this pandemic. So the good thing about this pandemic is I started teaching classes over Zoom, online virtually.
Yes.
And it was
Zoom has been a great blessing for a lot of people.
Totally. And it's a huge learning process for me as a teacher. And I had to figure out how to teach. I got this overhead video stand where my phone would showcase what I'm drawing underneath there. And now I teach kids ages 6 to 12 on Wednesdays. And then on Sundays, I teach adults. And I think on Wednesdays, like kids are in school 24/7, looking at their laptops, and they get so tired. But I hear them talking about, like when I'm like, okay, guys, like class is over, I have to go now, they tell me and they're like, no, like, can we please stay? Like, I want to stay. It's a huge gratifying experience for me as a teacher because it's not even, of course, it's about the art, but I think it's more about the communication and relationships that I make with people. And if that's also shown through my art, that's even better,
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
a huge experience, a gratifying moment for me is one of my students, she's an adult, she's a healthcare worker. And of course, during this time, she's seen really dark things. And she was talking to me one day and she was like, I just wanted to thank you for these classes that you give me because it really allows me to like relieve my stress from what I go through. And as a 17-year-old helping like an adult and someone saying that to me, it took me back. And I was like, it's more about the relationships for some people, about stress relieving. It doesn't have to be about a perfect, pretty, beautiful painting anymore.
Absolutely. And, I'm glad you brought that up because I go through those experiences in the preschool, when we let kids just let themselves go free on paper. And sometimes you have perfectionist parents. And I've had a parent once, just literally a 3-year-old gave his artwork. He had done art for the very first time to his parent. And his parent looked at it and said, what rubbish is this? And crumbled it up and looked at me and said, he's not drawn anything. And I said, he doesn't have to draw. Look at what he created. He just put color and splashed it, but he had a free moment there. And I was so upset with the parent, and I had to spend almost an hour explaining to them that you just killed the intensity of the confidence of the child. He was waiting to show you this, and art doesn't have to make sense. Sometimes everybody's story, you can all draw the same picture, but it has a different story.
And even though if it didn't make sense to the parents, his story was that he was just expressing himself through those lines. Everything has a story. And it's ridiculous when parents are so hard on their kids or
they want perfect work, like the perfect butterfly, the perfect flower. Why did you make the sky pink? It should be blue.
And art isn't that? It's just expressing yourself, how you're feeling, what you want to talk about,
So I have a question for you. You've met a lot of famous people. I know that. So let's talk about, since we are celebrating, a woman vice president today, who's your most favorite? I know I'm leading you on this one. Who's your most favorite personality that you have met and gifted? some artwork too.
Definitely Malala Yousafzai. So
Okay.
when I gifted this piece, I gave a what was it? Soft pastel painting portraiture of her, and I remember giving this piece, and I was kind of afraid. I was being so hard on myself on this piece because I wanted to look exactly like her. I was sort of younger.
You
During
were
the
very young at the time.
I was 13 or
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
And I remember giving her piece, and I felt her hands while like giving it to her, and I just felt how sincere and gentle her hands were, and the way she was talking about my work just really showcased how much she cared about what I painted. And it was such a huge moment for me. And I actually ended up getting a photocopy of that piece, and her dad signed on the copy, and I took it home. He said, "Pearl, you're such a pearl." And
Oh,
I know
beautiful.
it was
Yes.
I kept that piece forever. It's like up there framed now because of course I gave the original. But yeah, that was a huge experience for me as an artist, especially in
So what would your message be out there to all the young talent who are going to be watching this clip or watching this clip, and to parents who know they have gifted kids at home, but they're worried that, what if they they don't focus on their studies, they just get into art, and then they don't get the perfect grades that they want, to go to the perfect grad school. What's your message out to them? Because people can make a lot of money in art. We already know that. Or, you don't make any money. It really depends. It's, so what is your message to people out there?
I think that with artwork and expressing yourself, like I said, it doesn't have to be something where it means something and it's beautiful. If your kid is struggling with academics, art could be a way to stress relief from those academics. I think it's important to find those things that are important for those kids to figure out what allows them to flourish in other aspects of their life. And when it comes to pursuing art in the future, like I said, perseverance is really just the most important thing you can have. And unfortunately, in the community that we live, the arts is kind of neglected. But as long as you believe in yourself and understand that you have the capabilities and you want to pursue this and you're passionate about it, love and support will definitely come for you. But it all starts with you, and it all starts from the perseverance that you have. Yeah.
And can people call you and say, do a portrait of me, and or I want to have a port? I mean, do you do work based on, like, you mentioned something about being commissioned to do work? So are you hired to do stuff?
A lot of people contact me for commission work. Unfortunately, till now at least, I've been busy with college apps. But yes, I would love to do commission work. I love doing portraiture, and it's something that I would like to pursue in the future.
And we have a few more minutes. So I think what I'd love you to do is, so you talked about college apps. What are you planning to do?
So right now I'm going towards an animation pathway where I'm hopefully, of course, the end goal is Disney or Pixar or something.
Oh, yes.
But I'm working towards an animation portfolio. And, as I'm going along, I think college will be a learning experience for me. Who knows what I'll do, but I know definitely art is my journey and what I need to pursue for the rest of my life. And maybe exhibition work will be that, definitely teaching, but we'll see.
Miss Ira, I think we need to get her autograph right now, or at least we'll say one day, someday we'll say, you know what? We know her personally. We had a good chat with her on Born to Shine,
Oh,
everybody just take screenshots right now. Paul, we have about 3 more minutes to go, and I wanted to ask you this question. You were talking about perseverance, and also you mentioned how you were hard on yourself about that Malala Yousafzai portrait. So anybody who's trying to create something, I have not, like, I do craft. I can't, and I know that I cannot draw and paint. I would love to, but I just cannot. I just try to do something.
You haven't tried. You need to go to a class.
I have tried. And that's what, also part of my question. What would you tell people that, when you start the process, oh, this is going to be amazing. And midway, you're like, okay, this is not working. You say some things in your head and you want to toss it out. And then you eventually finish it, not like it. What do you tell people? Are they being too hard on themselves, or are they just being realistic? Nahi ho sakta, matlab nahi ho sakta. You are being realistic about it.
Really though, like I'm so hard on myself. So I feel that I used to just not do artwork for days and then come back and then work on it. But I think all art is, if you really, really want to do something and you think it's impossible, nothing is impossible. Everything in art is just lines and shapes. If you just break it down, it is just lines and shapes. And like I was teaching in my paint and sip events. as I was teaching these paintings, Warriors for Empowerment gave me the opportunity to fundraise, and now I teach paint nights for private corporations and birthdays and all of that. When I teach paintings, right, we have to do those in 3 hours. People are astounded by the way that I go about the process, because it's all just lines and shapes, right? Everything is just shapes of trees. It's not a tree anymore. It's a triangle with things coming out of it. We have to step back, is what I'm saying. And sometimes taking a break from it and then looking back on it is the way to go. But I understand being hard on yourself, especially in artwork, is something I still
Miss Renu, we have to do one of those paint and sip nights.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And the only thing is, I don't know what she's going to be sipping. She's not even 18 yet, but
We'll be sipping stuff and we'll be painting.
she'll be sipping pani and we'll be sipping something else. And I'm sure my painting will come out. And really quickly, tell everybody how they can reach you. Not your phone number, maybe your Facebook page or your website.
Or something, yes.
Totally. You can follow my Facebook page at Pearls Art Studio. There I showcase my classes and then paint and sip events that I do, soon probably commission work. And yeah, you can follow me on my journey on my Facebook.
Wonderful. Well, all I can tell you is, Pearl, it's such an honor. I mean, I'm thinking of your paintings. I'm probably going to keep thinking about them. And the one with the baby is really with the baby, the octopus. I mean, just all of them. And I wish we could see more, but I'm sure we can go to your studio, and I'm sure you have some on your website or your Facebook, your pictures there. Thank you so much. And a special shout out to Mama, to Archana, and what's Dad's name? Pavan, yes, very good. And brother, Pranay. Okay, a whole family, because it's a whole family exercise. Special shout out. Thank you so much for being on Born to Shine. Over to you, Miss Ira. I'm just taken back with this talent.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Renu, for bringing Pearl onto this show. Thank you, Pearl, for being here. Absolute honor to meet you virtually, and a lot of things to learn from you. And we wish you all the best. Thank you for being here again.
Best luck. So proud of you. Thank you.
And thank you, listeners and viewers, for staying tuned to Radio Zindagi. Cheers.